Man with Gareth McGuinness.
Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of 12 Man Podcast. Owen Kelly joins us tonight to look back on Liverpool's massive one against Spurs at Anfield. Maybe not massive in terms of points, but psychologically and important for Liverpool to get back on the horse at Anfield and win. Was it a different Liverpool with the freedom, the shackles, were they off now that the dust has settled on that title race, dream fading? And can Liverpool expect to finish the last couple of games very strong? But looking back at Spurs, are they now in danger of ruining what was a very good season? 4 defeats on the trot. They need to get back on and won the last couple of games to ensure they're at least in the Europa League next season. Be looking back at Palace's thumping victory over Man United, which pours more misery on Ten Hag, as his position now becoming untenable. City and Arsenal won to keep the title race alive. How much credit the Arsenal deserve for keeping Man City honest for so long? We'll look at the relegation risk. We've Forest winning at Sheffield. How does that now look for Luton and Burnley? We'll look back at last night's one for Dortmund against PSG and who will meet Dortmund and PSG in the final. We'll find out tonight at 8 o'clock when Madrid take on Bayern, but we'll ask Owen who he thinks will get there. And before we go off air, we'll have a quick look at the weekend's predictions and weekend's games and ask Owen to give us some quick fire predictions. So I know we're slightly late on 10 minutes or so after I says, but very, very busy to be honest. We all are media work, and honestly, I'm just glad to be on here now because it's been very stressful.
All good, all good. No, when you're busy with all things and everything just gets in toppy end, doesn't it?
Well, that's that type. I mean, this should be the time of the season we're winding down, but it just seems to be getting busier. But well on the May now, Owen. And I suppose.
I'm not ready for a couple of weeks now. No, I'm not ready for the see that last game against Wolves. I'm not mentally ready for it.
You're not there yet.
No, the tears.
I'm sure you'll not be the only one. But let's start at Anfield. We've done the preview during the week there. Me, Jared, Meets, and Callum. I have to say there was quite a bit of optimism. Liverpool won this game. Even me and Jared didn't really fancy Spurs to go there and get anything more than a draw. We expected goals. We got goals. 4-2 probably flattered Spurs in the end. Although Liverpool were kind of, as we've seen them do over the years and games, and we even seen it last year against Spurs, that they let teams back in the games when they've got a lot of control. And 4-2 probably flattered on the 90 minutes, but it was a nervy last 20. I suppose once Spurs get back to 4-2.
Once it got back to 4-2, especially when it was 4-2, there was still 15-20 minutes to go, wasn't there?
I think there was 18 minutes plus injury time.
So about 20 minutes all in to go, and I was going, no, but we can't bottle a 4-0 lead against the serial bottlers. Like it just can't happen. But no, it was again like. I don't know what it is about Liverpool.
It was as comfortable as a 60 minutes as Liverpool have had all season, really.
I just think Wales now really third place is secured. We're not gonna finish any higher. We're not gonna finish any lower. So Klopp's just sort of sent the boys out there and just say play your football now. And if he won one,
you think that was the first time in a number of weeks we've seen them playing with the shackles off, the freedom. Not so much the shackles because they don't really play any our way, but kind of the disappointment of the title race was still in the back of their heads there in the last couple of games. Now, they had a week off. They knew the title was gone, really, even though it's not mathematically gone, but they knew it was gone. And they just thought, let's give the fans something to sing about for the next couple of games now.
That's it. And I think it's just getting that feel good factor back for the last two games now, because the game against Aston Villa, we were thinking that's going to be a tough one, but if it doesn't really matter now, but you just want to win the last two games. But see, to be honest, I'm not even thinking about that Villa game. For me, it's all about that last game of the season, Sunday, 19th of May, home to Wolves. Just to celebrate the manager and what he's achieved. And unfortunately for me, we didn't achieve what we thought we could this season, but it's still going to be a party atmosphere when it comes to it.
I know still 2 games left, but it'll be next Sunday when everything's wrapped up. So we are very, very close to the end now.
I don't
And
want
it's been, I mean, I have to say, this season has absolutely flown by. I mean, I just can't believe me and
to.
Callum sat in this first podcast on June the 15th, and we're here now.
I think the first one me and you did was when Liverpool got Gazon for Caicedo and we signed Sabitzer. And like, how was that nearly 8 9 months ago? You know,
Crazy.
we'll be,
Let's talk about one player that's been linked with a move away at Liverpool. Had a very good performance on Sunday, as he usually does against Spurs. I mean, where are you at with Mo Salah? I mean, strong performance on Sunday.
I thought you were
Tapping off
talking
a
about
boy.
Nunez there. I thought you were going off your head.
We'll talk about Nunez as well, briefly, because I know we discussed them a lot. But obviously, Mo Salah is one of the big names being linked with a move away. We're here now that Liverpool want to keep him. Um, where do you stand on it? What do you think the club should do in regards to Mo Salah?
You have to keep him. Like you have to, especially if Klopp was staying. I wouldn't be as sad about letting him go, but with a new manager coming in, with a new structure there, I think just to keep it as settled as possible, I think we have to keep our big players there. But it's not just Salah, it's Van Dijk. Although Van Dijk's come out and said he's committed to this new year at Liverpool, whether that means just for next season and beyond. But the one for me that needs to get done ASAP is Trent. But for Salah, I would definitely keep him for at least another year.
Mm, be interesting to see what happens with Salah. I mean, another player that's come on, well, wouldn't say, has his future is up in there, but different kind of situation with Darwin Nunez. I mean, come on Sunday, had a bit of a nightmare getting caught offside again, and it's probably the first time at home I've seen the Anfield crowd get frustrated. I was on a pub with Liverpool fans; they were getting frustrated, calling him a lot of names, which can happen. I don't think, and I think players must chances, but we then see that people took it one step further, and with all these social media, give him abuse. Nunez closes down his accounts.
Wasn't even that.
Um,
They were giving his family abuse and his children abuse. It's just
mm,
no need for it. Like,
no need for it, but do you think that that's a bad sign? I mean, before we come on to talk about the bad, we don't want to see this happening. But I mean, do you think it's a bad sign that a lot of these fans now are starting to look the other way and go? We even had meets in Callum on Thursday, and they were saying it's getting very hard to defend Nunez anymore now because it's basics of football, not being able to stay on side, missing chances that you would expect any player to score. And we've had 2 full seasons of Nunez now, and the same problems are still there. I mean, not just for Liverpool, but and just on Nunez's situation, mentally, do you think he needs to move, or do you think there's still life in his career at Liverpool?
I think I think for him, for the club, I don't see him going anywhere in the summer. And the reports have said that they won't be going anywhere. But I think for Nunez, I think it'd be better for him if he got a fresh start because as sad as it is, they say it just hasn't worked out really as we expected when we signed him from Benfica. But the problem is with that, if he goes in our club and then explodes, you'll be saying, did we sell him too early? So,
I think the problem is now that you're seeing this, I think there's going to be less. What's the word? There's going to
interest.
be less sympathy from Liverpool fans next year if this keeps happening. It's going to get worse
Yeah,
and worse and worse. I think more and more fans will turn their back on him, and it could become quite hostile. I don't
yeah,
want to see. You wouldn't want to see it, but there could be a situation where if he goes on the next season, Liverpool's in the Champions League, so they're playing him against better teams in this new Champions League format as well. If he
yeah.
misses chances against Real Madrid, you could see a situation where the fans start booing him, and that would be really detrimental to the players' mental state.
Yeah, and I don't know how he's feeling at the minute himself, but I don't think he just doesn't look happy. And you're speaking about the offside as well. It's not as if he's slow. He's lightning quick. So eh, defenders won't catch up to him unless you're Mickey Van de Ven because that man just he sprints for him. But like he can beat defenders. So I don't know what it is with him, but I just for me if you're asking me what I move him on, I'm 50-50 to be honest. I'm not one.
And that's a lot for you considering where you
Yeah,
were like 6 months ago. You were like when you get buying him, support him. I know Darren was saying he thinks his time might be up. Don't know if Darren wants to weigh in on a comment there. How are you feeling about Nunez? I'm sure
but I
disappointed at some of the abuse he got, but maybe it is time to they move on in the summer. But the problem Liverpool have is they want a big fee for him, and I'm not sure they're going to get that.
Well, the team that's been linked with him the most is Barcelona, and they can't afford a Fredo at the minute. So they're not gonna buy Darwin Nunez for 50, 60, 70 million. He's actually, to be honest.
Realistically, what do you think it would take for Liverpool to shift him? No, what would you think they would go? This is too good to turn down.
Well, we paid what, 85 million euro for him, so it's.
But I don't think he's met a lot of the
No.
extras. So
I
what was
would
the initial fee?
60. 60. I think we 40 to 50 back from him. I don't think it'll be a big drop.
There would be teams. I mean, I read today. There's a
Like
team
Chelsea?
in Saudi. There's a team in Saudi will only refund Spurs' money for Richarlison. So I mean, there's always
Chelsea
suitors
won.
out there.
Chelsea wanted Nunez last summer, sorry. So
Yeah, nobody deserves that abuse, but I think he should move on. We need someone that can score with half chances.
you know what?
And that's a
Speaking
problem. That if he misses them chances next year in the Champions League, Liverpool's going to be out because you're not going to get away with it against better teams.
To be honest, the forward that I've been impressed with the last few weeks has been Cody Gakpo. I think he was
A
excellent
lot
against
more
Spurs.
clinical, isn't he?
I
A lot
know
more clinical.
he's only scored 7 league goals, but he's been playing every position around the front line. But I thought for me he was other than Harvey Elliott. I thought he was excellent against Spurs on Sunday.
I mean, what are you expecting movement-wise up on that end of the pitch? I mean, Nunez, do you think he'll stay yet?
I think Diaz will go.
So you think Liverpool will definitely bring in another attacker?
I think that's the reports. We want the right sided attacker. So whether that's the
Is it worry though that they're not? There's no links with a striker that they're going to even be back Nunez and Gapco. They go again.
Liverpool don't really. We don't, apart from Nunez, we've never really bought out and out strikers. Really, we, like, if you think about it, Firmino, Mane, Salah. The last one we really bought was what?
Ricky Lambert.
Aye.
You know what? You are right because Firmino played that role for such a long time.
So I think
Benteke was maybe the last one.
Yeah, no, is he a striker? But
Origi maybe.
I think, and then we have Jota as well, and he's but keeping him fit's another problem, but he back coming a 1-on-1 chance to score. But I think for me, I would be going, if it was up to me, I'd be going for Kudos at West Ham or Elise or Crystal Palace. One of them two, and I'd be happy.
You wouldn't take Isak?
I would. I just don't think Liverpool will pay the money.
Eze and Elise said to be available for around £60 million, possibly release clauses in there.
That's a snubly.
Yeah, but then they both have injury problems too. They've missed most of the season, haven't they?
I'm sure they would fit on a Liverpool, wouldn't they?
Let's talk about a bit about Spurs. 4 defeats on the bounce for Spurs. The first time that's happened in the league for 20 years. Which is not a great 2004, which is not a great stat, although they did play 4 very strong teams in there. So there is
it was a bit of a bad run, wasn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean, Newcastle was a disaster. The Arsenal game, they were but unlucky. Chelsea was just poor as well, and Liverpool was poor for the majority. Arsenal was really the only game I thought they played anywhere near what they can. Although they played all right in the last 20 minutes, I don't know. Liverpool made a lot of changes, and I have to say though, for how crazy it was, we talked about that tackle from Joe Gomez. If Richarlison scores that and makes it 4-3, it's a completely different game. I think there might have been still 10 minutes left.
It's Liverpool Spurs games are always a bit mental for some reason. I don't know why. It's just.
But it would have tippered over a lot of cracks. Say Spurs had went on and got a 4-4 draw.
Yeah,
it can't be that bad for 60, 70 minutes. I mean, if Spurs were to finish the season poorly now, say they don't win another game, or they lose all 3 now. I know they've got Burnley and Sheffield in there. You wouldn't expect that, but if they were to finish 7th, it'd be a disaster, wouldn't it?
I know he's had injuries at the midpoint of the season where he's were flying, but even I think since Christmas he's have just blown hot and cold, even with your full squad. Maddison, I know Maddison, he came on Sunday and played well, but he's fallen off a cliff. He's not been. I thought your best player on Sunday when he came on, as much as I don't like him, was Richarlison.
Yeah,
And
strange because he was very poor against Chelsea. Maybe we need that game back.
although
I know he's been out and injured,
although
but again,
I thought
Richarlison's not
Emerson
reliable. He's always injured as
uh,
well.
I thought Emerson Royale had a great game for Liverpool, but
Disaster. I mean, we called it once he seen the lineups. He says, "Jesus Christ, we're on for a tough afternoon, him." I mean, there is a situation where Spurs get finished sixth and still not make Europa League because United could
yeah,
won the FA Cup. Now I know that's a big, so it's important for Spurs they make sure they get fifth.
no.
Now call me dad deluded, but he still thinks there's a chance of top four. He thinks they'll beat
Mm.
Burnley and Sheffield, and then it comes down to Man City. He actually thinks Villa will lose their last two games.
Who are they? I know they're playing us. Who do they have last?
Palace away, you're flying at the moment, I suppose.
They could, but Spurs could also lose to Burnley. Like you don't know.
Yeah.
Um, no, I just as I think you're. I don't think he's delusional. I just think he's holding it. It was a bit like me last season when we had that mud end the season run where I thought we were going to get top four and
It would be very interesting come Monday night should Spurs beat Burnley on Saturday and Liverpool beat Villa. All of a sudden,
it's
you know it is back on, but I just don't see it.
nearly,
I think they might beat
nearly.
Burnley. Even if they get there, if Liverpool could beat Liverpool, I just do not see how they beat Man City. And I think there's a majority of the fan base that don't want them to beat Man City as well. So
That's
um,
that's it. Yeah.
we will
Although,
see. Should United beat Arsenal on Sunday, which is a big if, there may be a different element of that
yeah.
Man City game then because all
Well,
of a sudden the league's over for Arsenal and then there's a chance to beat City. It goes to the last day and you think Sheffield away should be a banker and then it comes down to Villa possibly having to beat Palace away, which is not easy.
nah, especially with their form at the minute. No, I just for Spurs, there's something I don't know. There's something not right at the minute.
Do you think some of the players have sort of lost fifth in this Ange system? Because all right, it's great to play attacking football. I mean, you ask any player, they'd rather play in an attacking football team. But when you're
Yep.
conceding, they've conceded 4 goals in 2 of the last 4. They've conceded
Yeah,
3 in another one and 2 in the, so they're almost having to score 2 or 3 every game to get a result, and that's big pressure.
I think it was sort of again. It reminds me of Liverpool when Klopp first came in. They were like basketball games. Like you score you score three, we're going to score four, sort of thing. So I think maybe the players have. I don't think they've lost faith in it. I just think they've run out of steam at the end of the season. Like because
And
it's
the other
been
thing I think as well, when Liverpool were playing that way, they had Mane, they had Salah, they had Firmino. Like
it's
Spurs
true.
haven't necessarily got that quality. I know Son scored 17 goals this season, but I don't think particularly he's been that great. He scored a
Yeah,
lot of goals, to be fair to him. Richarlison scored 11 in the league, which is decent for a player that's been on out of the team with injury.
yeah.
Johnson's scored 4 or 5, Kulusevski 4. They haven't really got massive amounts of firepower. I mean, so does that beg the question that if Ange gets more firepower, then this system may work because they'll be able to score more goals. If they get a number 6, they'll shore it up. Or do you think he really needs to tighten it up a wee bit because they're not the best team in the league? They can't be expecting to go out every week and just score 4 or 5.
I think it's a mixture of the both. I think if he does go out there and get an attacker, I know you're bringing in that young boy from where's he from, like Sweden or something. Like
Oh, he
I
signed in
said,
January. Lucas
yeah.
Birdville.
So
Well, he's only 17.
you don't want to put too much pressure on him straight away. But if they do go out there and get a top number 9 in the Premier League, then they will score more goals. But I think in certain games he needs to realise like there's more teams who have better firepower than Spurs. So I think he needs to realise that he can't go out playing the same way every single time because I know the Liverpool game ended 4-2, but it could easily have been 5-6 or 7.
Don't quote me on this, right? Because it may not be meant much on it, but I know Eze and his family have been at Spurs' stadium a number of times this season. They've also been given a box there, and they've been at games. So I'm not sure if there's something in the waters there, but
Yeah,
the Eze one, you wonder why he's there. Why would they give the family a box? Maybe there's something happening in the background with him. But
could
where
be.
does he play? If Madison's in the team, this is the thing, you know.
They're
For
t-
me, Eze plays. He's better off the middle than he is off the left.
For me, like I think Eze and Elise are both top players, but for me, Elise's top. Like he's Oh, I was watching him the other night, nearly drawn. Although if he goes to United in the summer, I'll say he's one of the most overrated players in the league.
At least you're honest. Let's talk about. We're speaking about Palace. We're speaking about United. So let's speak about these two teams. Played each other on Monday
Oh,
night, of course. Now I didn't see it obviously because I was at this Brandywell watching Derry against Shelburne. But I've seen the goals going on. There was a couple of United fans sitting beside me. We're just checking their phone, and they stopped checking after 2-0. They says it was just too much. They think. I suppose the biggest indictment you would say about this is it probably wasn't that big of a surprise that they were stuffed because
no,
it's been coming for a number of weeks. They've been getting away with it. And I mean, it could have been more than four. I mean, what was your thoughts on this game? Because Palace were banging on form, United were out of form. Were you shocked at the scoreline?
no, I wasn't. I was actually before the game. I was actually talking to one of my friends who support United, and I said Palace are going to win 3-0. Like they won four, but some of the goals, I don't know what their keeper was doing. Like was it the third or fourth one? It went straight into the middle of the goal. Like he didn't
Yeah.
even. And there was one where I think it was Edward had a shot, and he just stood there and watched it hit the bar. So no, like United players, we're speaking of Spurs players being checked out of a team. Them United, I know they have injuries, and I know, but it's like they're an embarrassment to United fans, and I'm enjoying it. Like I'm not going to lie, I'm enjoying every single second of it at the minute. But I just think United are done. And I was reading something today that it said that David Brailsford was talking to the players about what they think about the manager and all this here, and you're going, why are you talking to the players? They're the ones that are down in tools. But I definitely think Ten Hag's gone before, well, not before the FA Cup final, but I think regardless of what happens in that cup final, I think he's gone. And to me,
Well,
there's
what do you think
two.
about that? Because I think it's more likely to come down to this. I mean, they're eighth now in the league.
Yeah,
They've got difficult fixtures left. I suppose every game's difficult when you're playing the way they are, but Brighton
Arsenal,
away,
Newcastle next day.
Brighton away on the final day before they play Arsenal at home this weekend, and Newcastle at home in between.
Jeez.
Newcastle have been playing really well of late, and Arsenal we know going for the league and flying. So, I mean, if they don't get
I
any
think,
results in them two games, the Brighton game will probably become irrelevant anyway.
yeah,
So, I mean, do you think they're going to have to win the FA Cup to get European football next year?
because I can't see them getting anything at home to Arsenal, and I think even Newcastle when they're at home to Newcastle, I just think Newcastle because Newcastle are one of the teams that could overtake them, that could they finish in Europe, and they'll want that. So I think it's going to be a bad end of the season for United, and for Ten Hag, I I think in that FA Cup final too, I think they're going to get battered. I know you don't know what can happen in a one-off game, but I just think they'll get battered.
Yeah, well, the two games against United or Man City this year in the league, they've been beat quite easily. I mean, I think there was a consensus amongst United fans and the board that at worst this season they probably finished fifth, Europa League, and they had that FA Cup final in the background.
No, they
I
could
mean, I,
finish
I don't think
eighth.
they expected it to get as bad as where it is now, and they're down in
No.
eighth. You know, I mean, they have let Chelsea and Newcastle claw above them now, and they're both on form. I don't see them turning that around.
And
Um,
Chelsea were the
plus
laughing stock of
also,
the season at the start.
well, that's it. Plus, I also think the RT have more favourable fixtures as well.
Yeah.
So, I think they will get there. So I mean, all that. I think if he had a finished fifth, he may have been given more time, but I just don't think he can have an argument to stay in his job if he's finished eighth at Man United.
No, it was. I think they've already lost. Was it 13
Well,
games this season?
well,
So
that's
they
it. And I know you'll say about injuries, but Newcastle were decimated. Chelsea
yeah
have been decimated. No, they've been in a very similar situation. So I mean, it's
yeah.
it's it's the same problems for them teams that they're fighting with for them positions.
I no. I just as I said there, they have 13 losses already. I think if they lose one more, I think that's their most in a Premier League season. Uh,
You cannot bring a manager done for a cup final before the end of the season.
no,
As
well,
much as
you
they
said
would.
it.
No, but there was a few games. I mean, we're chatting for one game here at the
I
end of the
suppose.
season.
No, I think he'll get that cup final away, and they'll be heavily beating that cup final. So, and there's only two names that I've seen like with a job, and one of them's just hilarious to me, and I hope it happens. I think you know where I'm going with that one. But Thomas Tuchel and Gareth Southgate are the only two names that I've seen linked. And to be fair, if they get Gareth Southgate,
Seen today that Graham Potter and Ruben Amram have also been linked.
well, Amram's already said he's staying at Sporting.
Right.
So that's
Would you
if
be
they get
worried if Amram went there? Because I mean, you wanted him at Liverpool, so
I like he's a. I've watched a bit of his football now and thinking that Liverpool. I'm not going to turn around and say I don't think he's a good coach, but I think it would be a good appointment for United. But I don't see it happening, especially because he went to West Ham and then that sort of fell down the path.
I think Tuchel would be the best they can get because I know he has tendency to fall out with people, but
well,
he's still a top manager.
all the reports that I'm seeing is they want an English coach. So if they if United appoint Gareth Southgate, then they're a bigger laughing stock. And I thought surely the new owners won't do that. Like,
What about you, Danny? Southgate? I mean, is that something that will worry you?
Danny's English too, isn't he? So he already has Southgate ball they worry about.
I mean, a lot of United fans, TV pundits, they're associated with United. We've seen obviously Mark Goldbridge as well. He tend to blame the players more than the manager. Do you think a lot of these players has thrown Ten Hag under the bus like you have done our managers?
They have.
Or do you agree with Carragher as well? That a lot of it's down to the coaching that's leaving them so exposed.
It is. Look. I watched the piece on Monday. He was showing highlights from the Burnley game. Burnley at the start of the second half, Ten Hag wasn't even out of the tunnel, and Burnley were already attacking. So I don't know. I don't know what he's saying at halftime or what he's doing, but it does mean you've had this argument with Pep too. Like you think it's coaching with him, and I think it's all reasons. But like we Ten Hag, I just think they both need a clean break. Like, but you're saying if the players thrown him under the bus, but he's thrown a couple of players himself under the bus too. Look, like Jadon Sancho's an example. He left in January and now he's in a Champions League final. So who's got the best of that deal? And obviously we've seen what happened with Ronaldo. So he doesn't seem to be a good manager. That's what I pick up from it. It reminds me of a Rafa Benitez type. Good, decent coach, but his management skills aren't great.
Let's finish talking about Palace because they've been playing brilliantly recently. New managers come on. Do you think it's a bit of a new manager bounce purple patch, or do you think if you keep Elise, keep Eze, that they could definitely be a team pushing on the top half, even possibly for like an outside chance of Europe next year?
It's hard to say. Is it a purple patch or is it?
Do you think there's a massive chance them two boys are going?
I don't think they'll sell both of them in one window. I think they'll want to. I actually, if I was them, I would give Palace one more year. Just to see how far they can go. Like Elise's been heavily linked with United. He's seen they are like they're a disgrace. Like, does he really want to? Like, he could go there and be the next Jadon Sancho.
I think Elise's more likely. I think just because there's a shortage of them types of. I know we've Saka and you've got Salah, but who plays in the right for Man City? Bernardo Silva plays out there, so he's Foden. He kind of mix it up.
Doku, but they can play heavily out there, really, can't they?
Chelsea, they've got a waft of options, but I don't think they're any as good as Elise.
Spurs
need somebody out there. There's a lot of big clubs that will be looking at Elise and thinking he could probably start.
Chelsea,
I think he's got more competition for his place.
Chelsea were close to signing Elise last summer, weren't they?
Release clause and contract, roughly 60 million we hear. It's his injury problems that's going to put a bit off-putter for teams. Very similar to
I was just going to come on because I've seen in the past too, like Liverpool and Spurs are very keen on Neto, but if you buy a player like that and then he's out for 6-7 months of the season, then that's not money well spent. Like so, but on players like that, I think you just have to take a risk because maybe not so Neto, but at least I think you have to take a risk because the boys like clearly talented, and as much as Palace are doing well now, I think he can play for a Champions League club. Like.
Yeah.
or a
Let's
club
talk
close
about
to
let's talk about the title race, Owen, because
you.
I know you think it's boring, but it's still very much alive. City and Arsenal are still there. Arsenal 2 games left. City, of course, 3 games left. That game in hand away at Spurs on Tuesday now, so that's pretty close to
I
come
wonder,
up.
I wonder how Man City will feel about that game because like they probably know the Spurs fans don't really want Spurs. They want
Could be picking a better time to play Spurs, I think, unless something there's serious. I mean, unless no, I wouldn't even. The only way you could see it is if Spurs won Saturday.
we beat
I
Villa
mean, I was going to
maybe.
say if United beat Arsenal, there's more for Spurs, but if United beat Arsenal, it's all over. So
Yeah,
I think if this could be really working, so if there's more things that could go well for Spurs this week, I think if Spurs beat Burnley Saturday, Liverpool beat Burnley, or United beat Arsenal, or take a draw off them on Sunday, Liverpool beat Villa, it becomes a bigger game for Spurs that probably than it does for Man City.
because Villa look to be stumbling over the line a bit.
I think they're a little bit there. I think Man City will get there, but I mean, do you think Arsenal come out with a lot more credit this year than they did last year? You know,
Oh,
especially if they won these last 2 games. Now I know they're heavy favourites; they won them, but you know they haven't completely unravelled like they did last year.
yeah.
And you know it threatened to unravel after losing to Villa and losing to Bayern Munich in the Champions League.
I like last year. It was really Middlesbrough, wasn't it? That they crumbled. Like they lost. Who they lose? They lost to West Ham. I think they lost to Nottingham
They
Forest.
sorry
Was
they drew with
Liverpool
West
was.
Ham, drew at Liverpool, drew with Southampton at home, and lost to Forest and Brighton,
I so
all in the
like
last sort of 8 or 9 games.
so I compare that to now. Like they don't look like dropping points, and it seems to be it's going to come down to the final day. But I just think speaking from experience on fighting my Man City on final days, I
You
just
think it's
think
inevitable? City won these 3 games.
it's like who are they playing? They have Fulham at the weekend, then Spurs, then was it West Ham?
I
Like
think for the first time as well this weekend,
Man
City
City play
will
Thursday.
go on top, won't they? Because and
Yeah,
then it levels out. Whereas even though Arsenal have been playing, they've always been ahead because they've played extra
goal difference
games. So
and goal difference.
come come half two on Saturday, both teams will have played 36 games, and then it shifts to Arsenal. Can they keep it going ahead of Man City going to Spurs on Tuesday before they both kick off? Obviously, in the same time in the final day. So, I mean, that'll be a different smacker, maybe that well, I'll be surprised if Arteta lets it happen, but
Yeah,
there may be inevitable sick feeling in the stomach come half two on Saturday if Man City go to Fulham and won 3 or 4-0. Does that make Sunday's game? That boys, it's over already, is it? Or do you think
yeah.
they just have to beat United and hope there's a slip after that?
I like when we were in title versus Man City, I always preferred going first because you did your job, and then you're just hoping that the other team do theirs. So I just think no matter what happens in the City game, Arsenal just have to keep that belief that somehow somewhere there's going to be a slip. But I just can't see it. Like they're going for 4 in a row. No one's ever done that, and fair play to them. They're amazing. They're great, but not butter at all. But no, it's a great achievement if they do it. And sadly, I think they will.
Yeah. Are you very much hoping there's a twist and Arsenal go and they won it?
100%, 100%. I'd be on this podcast. I'd be ordering myself an Arsenal top.
How dangerous do you think it is if Arsenal finish second this year now they go again? Because there is an argument, although I know Liverpool have got more points before and not won it, but finish on 89 points and they've only dropped 5 points since
Yeah,
New Year's Eve, all in this run because they lost to Villa and drew with Manchester, and they also drew.
we
They drew Liverpool in the first half of the season, so they beat Liverpool in the
uh,
second half of the season.
they
So
beat
they
us.
would have.
They beat us 3-1 now.
So in that run, they would only have dropped 5 points since New Year's Eve. I mean, you can't really do much more than that, can you? I mean, if you don't want it,
No.
you're very unlucky.
It was like for God's sake, Liverpool I think one year we got 97 points and they got 99 or something. So
98. Yeah.
you can't do much more. You can't do much more than that. Like, but I think as I said there for Arsenal, they just need to do their job and hope all our teams do them a favor. But I just think Man City are that juggernaut, that machine that Pep will be drawing it on them. We're not slipping. We're not. Like,
Mhm.
but
If Arsenal, if Arsenal sign Isak in the summer, I think they are the favourites to get him.
yeah,
And there's an argument that they don't even need him because they've scored the most goals, but it will improve them. But I
yeah,
mean, if they sign Isak and Man City, we're hearing Bernardo Silva could move on. You know, they always tend to get a couple of go after a season, and they bring in maybe a couple more young players like likes of Doku and stuff who you would expect to get better. But if they freshen up again, Arsenal sign Isak and maybe one more player that's of big name.
yeah.
Would they be the favourites next season? Way Man City haven't got the 4 in a row. You know how much fire is left on the stomach, or do you still think Man City will be the team to beat next year?
No, everyone will be looking at. It's the same sort of four teams every year, isn't it? Uh, at this point, it's like Man City, Arsenal, a lot of. I would maybe throw Liverpool in there,
I
but
would
we'll
say it's
see.
more three teams. I would say it's more three, yeah, because the fourth changes that much that often.
So it's probably Man
I know
City,
Liverpool had a
Liverpool.
bit of luck last year,
Mm,
finished fifth, but all or not, they've been regulars in that top four. So,
so it'll be, and you
but
know
with
what?
a with a unknown factor with Liverpool,
Uh,
you know, your
with
people are probably saying if City aren't at their best, Arsenal are going to take the team to take advantage.
And to be fair, as much as we've bantered Chelsea this season, I think they could be dangerous next season if
Of
they get
course,
if they get their business right. And Spurs, if they get their business right, you don't know it. If you're asking me this in June, July time, depending on transfers, I could have a different answer. But for me, it's Man. Every time Man City lose a game, like everyone goes, "Oh, who here? What's happening here? What are we doing?" But like, so for me, it's Man City and then Arsenal. But I
So,
think
so
it's
if I ask you to make a prediction now on who's going to win the league next season, who would you say?
Man City. Just, but I think the gap's getting. I think it's getting smaller, but we've had this argument a couple of nights ago. You think as soon as Pep goes, it's going to get a lot tighter. But I think next season could be Pep's last season.
Hmm. Let's look at the other end of the table one relegation risk, which has been quite entertaining.
Yeah,
But even that now looks like it may not make the final day. It may just be that we're looking at the title on the last day because I think everything else could well be sewn up. Although things can change, you just don't know. But I think at the minute it looks quite likely that
Luton and
top
Burnley.
four. I even think they are European places. I think relegation. I think it will only be the title race when it goes to the last day. But again, who's to say there's no shock this weekend? And you wouldn't put it past United for getting a result
Yeah.
against Arsenal. You just wouldn't be.
Maybe
So
maybe in the final day, the full focus will be on Klopp's last day. that'll,
we
that'll
never
be,
know. It could be. It
yeah.
could be that. That might get you a wee TV slot. You never know. But
We'll
um,
be on
it,
TV anyway. I think.
it was a big weekend. You know, Luton were playing Everton at home. I
Yeah.
think it worked out quite well for Luton that Everton were safe, but they couldn't really take advantage of it. And then you really felt after that game, with Forest going to Sheffield the next day, it was a big opportunity for Forest, and they seized
Yeah.
it, and they got that one at Sheffield. They got a bit of bad news during the week. Of course, their 4 point deduction has been upheld. I don't think they can have any complaints because they were already
Yeah.
they got penalty points took off them because they complied. So I think it was probably fair. But they're in a decent position now. 3 points ahead of Luton with a superior goal difference. 4 points ahead of Burnley. How do
Although
you
this,
see that now?
uh, no, I think it'll be Burnley and Luton will get relegated. I think Forest will stay up, but then Burnley have to play Forest, don't they?
On the last day?
So you never know. Like if I know Burnley have Spurs, I think if Burnley lose to Spurs, is it this weekend? Usually
Well, I
playing.
think if Burnley don't beat Spurs, they're relegated basically.
So it's a must win for Burnley, really, and you would be surprised if they get a result. But stranger things have happened.
And you never know. They're playing behind a form Spurs team, aren't they?
I
But we'll talk about each team here because
I also want
I
to
mean,
say congratulations to the Edgewood on coming up. I'm looking forward to seeing them next season.
yeah, we'll speak about that as well then. So I mean, do you think it's really for us to throw away now?
I have
Their final
for
two
us.
games are Chelsea at home and Burnley away.
I think Chelsea will beat them, and I think they'll draw with Burnley, but I think Burnley will lose to Spurs. I think so. I think it'll be done anyway. So I think it'll
Any
be
hope for
Burn.
any hope for Luton away to West
Nah,
Ham on Saturday, and then they play Fulham at home. I suppose Moyes leaving, is that probably bad news for Luton now that West Ham might want to give him a bit of a send off on Saturday?
I just think Luton. If Luton were to stay up, they would have had the capitalize on that form just that they had before Christmas. Was before Christmas. Uh,
Yeah.
before Christmas and then during that Christmas period, but because after that, then they've just sort of ran out of steam. And I think fair play to them for giving it a go, but I think it's just a bridge too far for them. And it'll be interesting to see how they adapt the championship again. Like, will they be up there trying to come straight back up?
Mm.
It'll be tough. Like.
And obviously, even though Luton are kind of a point ahead of Burnley, the fact that Burnley play Forest on the last day gives them a bit more of a chance, maybe, because
Yeah.
if they can go to Spurs and pull off a shock one, they're only a point behind Forest. If Chelsea
Yeah.
beat Forest, it all goes down to that game at Turf Moor on the last day, and Burnley could win that and stay up. So it's a big ask. I think Burnley have to win both games, but you'd probably rather be in their position knowing that if they can get a result on Saturday, at least they play their rival on the last day
Yeah.
and they're playing them at home. Whereas Luton kind of need favours elsewhere. Even if Luton get a result here or there, they probably need a favour from somewhere else.
Yeah. And to be fair, if it was up to me, I would love Burnley this up because Forest have done my head on all season with their referee conspiracies, with their.
I mean, Burnley, they've got going very lit. They've only lost 2 of the last 9 games.
Yeah.
So there's 7 games. They've took at least a point on. But it seems to be that individual errors lets them down more times than kind of a bad team display, because play a lot of decent football, probably don't have the quality. We've seen the chances they missed at Old Trafford, but it was an individual error at Old Trafford. There was one at Everton recently. There's been numerous this season where
Yeah.
they've been caught playing out of the back, or somebody's played a square pass and a man sent off. Probably tough on Burnley. The way they finished the season, they're probably very unlucky to go down, based on their actual team display.
Aye, but I think company sort of figured it out a bit too late that you can't, not all the time, that you can go up.
There you go. If
Yeah.
Spurs don't really play, then Burnley have a good chance. You never know.
But I think for me, I think companies just realised too late that he can change his style and he doesn't have to play the way he played in the championship because they were playing against lesser teams. So I think for me, I just think it's going to be Burnley and Luton.
The
Unfortunately,
problem that Burnley have, well, they probably need to win on Saturday. So,
yeah.
if they play that open football,
Are Spurs at home?
Spurs are at home. You can't see how Spurs won't get chances like that.
Uh, you never. I think this is going to me. If there is going to be a shock result at the weekend, it will be in the Burnley Spurs one. That's just the way I see it.
We'll be there, yeah.
I can't see any other. I can't see Arsenal going to Old Trafford and not winning, and I can't see Villa beating Liverpool. Wouldn't really be much of a shock, would it?
What about the Old Firm? Any shocks there? Celtic have done quite well in them games.
I forgot that was on this weekend. Nah, I fancy Celtic. They finished the job there too.
Yeah, let's look back at last night's game. Dortmund won in Paris. They secure their place at Wembley.
The post was on their side,
We'll talk
anyway.
about Dortmund in a minute, but PSG, it was a great opportunity. I know Dortmund played really well and they defended well, and PSG had to post a number of things, but a semi-final, chances go. I know they got to the final a couple of years ago, but they beat Leipzig that time too. Ironically, another team that doesn't make that many semi-finals. Dortmund obviously in their first semi-final for a number of years since I think they actually beat Madrid to get to the final, so they don't be up there that often. And PSG were heavy favourites, and they couldn't get over the line, and it's becoming a bit of a problem with PSG with they snatch defeat from the jaws of victory in these games.
It just reminds me of Man City in a way. Like they couldn't get over the line, and then one year they did. But I don't know what, PSG must be cursed or something.
Mbappe looks like he's checked out too, but
the interviewer asked him last night. I don't know if you've seen. Would he be cheering on Madrid? And he just walked out. He didn't say nothing. But no, he's getting ready to play in the Euros, and then he's getting ready to join the white of Madrid.
Gal makes a good point about that, but the problem, he's done it for France, hasn't he? He's done it on the international stage.
he's won the World Cup like it, but I think for Mbappe, I think he wants that Champions League like, and that's why he's going there. That's like look at that team he's going to next year. Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, Mbappe, Bellingham, Valverde. Like it's just oh my god.
Yeah.
If they
And what about Dortmund? I mean, great story to get to the final. I mean,
what
I
a
sort of
tournament.
says to you, I think that Dortmund coach could be up for consideration. Liverpool, obviously, they're going a different maybe slot, but very close to winning the league last year. To be honest, the players kind of threw it away in the last day of the season,
Yeah.
and they almost nearly pulled it back at the end. Obviously, they were 2-0 down, come back to 2-2, needed to get the one, and didn't. But if in the Champions League final, they haven't got a lot of superstars in their team. You think about the likes of Hummels and Royce, they're still there. They've brought Sancho on loan. Sabitzer, who couldn't really get a game for United last year. Striker, nobody really heard of, but looks pretty decent. I mean, great story.
Dortmund. I don't know. Dortmund always remind me of Liverpool in a way. I don't know why. It's like they're just like if I was German, like that would be the club that I would support. I just I love the club. I love the fans. Like it's just it's a great club and as Callum said there, you probably wouldn't bet against Madrid if they get through the night because of the experience factor. But if Dortmund
Do you
win the
think Dortmund
Champions,
are underdogs no matter who they play in the final?
probably I just about. But I whoever they play in the final, I'll be cheering them on because I would love Dortmund. They won the Champions League, especially because it's Royce's last game as well. He's leaving at the end of the season, so it'd be a good way to send him off because you seen Lewandowski and you seen Goetze all leave, but he was the one they stick around.
Yeah. So tonight's game obviously kicking off just over half an hour's time. Who is going to join Dortmund at Wembley? Is it going to be a repeat of the 2013 final, I think, or 2012, was it?
2013, I think, because 2012
Yeah.
was Chelsea. 2012 was
Yeah,
Chelsea.
2013 final. Bayern beat Dortmund at Wembley. Obviously, Aaron Robin got the winner.
Was Klopp Dortmund manager in?
Klopp was Dortmund manager then. Ironically, I think he wore a suit in that final. I haven't
Yeah,
seen him wear a suit since. Maybe it was superstitional, but
uh,
I mean, would Bayern Dortmund be a better final, even though Madrid have the history and the legacy? But I mean, would that be a better final? Two German teams playing it out.
I think it would be, especially because the last one that they played was at Wembley, and this final is going to be at Wembley. But as I say, no matter who gets through, and I think it will be Madrid. To be honest, I do think it will be Madrid. But I'll be cheering on the yellow wall anyway.
How do you see tonight's game going?
I think it's going to go the extra time, and Madrid are going to win it in extra time. I'm going to go 1-0 Madrid extra time. I think it'll be a tight game.
And then who wins the final?
Oh, I would love to say Dortmund, but you would have to fancy Madrid, wouldn't you?
Yeah, be hardy back against Madrid in the
Well,
final.
How do you see it going?
He's saying, do you want Kane left in the gym? I tell you what, Daniel Levy wants somebody left because I'm hearing there's a package involved to have maybe more money get the send to Spurs if he wants the Champions League.
If Bayern go on, they won the Champions League. Their manager search has been a joke. Like, would they not turn around and be all here? Do you not fancy sticking around?
Well, if Tuchel wants an hour Champions League, I mean, that's United fans would be silly to sneeze at that if he won it with Chelsea and Bayern, two outsiders as well. They weren't favourites. They won them trophies.
And we're hearing
Kane could finally lift a trophy. It'd be like. Tell you what, it'd be Kane's luck if they beat Madrid tonight and lose to Dortmund in the final. I'm telling you,
we're
Bayern will win tonight. Tuchel was top of tactical balls. It'll be interesting. I can't call it, to be honest. Based on last week's evidence,
that'll be tight.
Bayern were a better team, but it's a different game at the Bernabeu. I thought Madrid were very passive last week, sat back, and they were lucky. Two mistakes from Kim really cost Bayern, and poor finishing from Sane really cost. I know he scored a good goal, but he missed a few as well.
And speaking of Bayern,
I just think Madrid. I just think Madrid have better finishers, more clinical. I know Kane's very clinical, but I don't think the other players are. I think if Madrid get the chances, they'll punish them.
Yeah. I was just speaking about Bayern's manager. They're looking at Ten Hag too, I'm hearing.
I think that was a bit of a joke. I think today they rolled that out. But who knows? Before we leave you, boys, we're going to have a quick look at the weekend's games here. I know we talked about a couple, but and just quickly, we're going to do some quick fire predictions before we go off here. It all starts on Saturday. It's Fulham against Man City. How's that going to
go? 3-0 Man City.
End of the 3 o'clock games, Bournemouth, Brentford.
1-1.
I think a lot of these games are dead rubbers, aren't they? Everton, Sheffield.
3-0 Everton.
Newcastle, Brighton.
2-0 Newcastle.
Spurs, Burnley.
1-1.
West Ham, Luton.
I just think it'll be West Ham Luton. 2-0 West Ham.
Wolves, Palace.
3-1 Palace.
5:30 on Saturday. Forest, Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea.
Should also say, so I know you said you fancy Celtic. How do you see the Old Firm scoreline on Saturday, 12:30?
2-1 Celtic.
And this Sunday, just a one game in the Premier League, Man United Arsenal.
4-0 Arsenal.
Of course, the playoffs, the Championship playoffs start this weekend too. Norwich playing Leeds, West Brom, Southampton. They'll be quite interesting to watch. And the Monday, Villa, Liverpool.
No, I'm going to go for a 2-2. I got to be a draw.
2-2. Some decent games, some big games on there. Again, I think most of the big games are on live on the TV, obviously, at this stage of the season now. And that'll take us into the final week of the season. So we're very much near the finish line now. At the moment.
I don't really think about it.
Of course, Liverpool fans are going to be very emotional on Sunday week. Callum's going to be there, of course.
You'll be ringing me up. I'll be talking, going
tears. Be interesting to see if that game will be on live on TV, because I suppose it'll depend what happens on the other games.
It has to be on somewhere, like sticking on BBC or something.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think it'll all come down to what's left to decide in the league, because technically that game's a dead rubber.
Well, I think TNT are showing a game too, so I might stick on there.
Well, if TNT show it, they might move it to 12:30.
And we seen how we seen. No, I don't think they're legally allowed to do that this time. Did you not see? Did you not? No one wants to. Yep, exactly. Did you not see what Klopp said? He says, "I won't be renewing my TNT subscription for next year."
Of course he will. He'll be watching all them European games, I'm sure. When he's
actually, the Champions League next year is on Amazon Prime.
Seen that, I think TNT are showing it too, but Amazon Prime have Tuesday night games or something like that. But Owen, that is us. Your favourite podcaster, Stefan, joins me tomorrow night. We're going to be looking ahead to Man United versus Arsenal. Tomorrow night around 7:00. That'll be at. So join us tomorrow night for that, and we'll also go through them games at the weekend in more detail. We are very much near the finish line of this Premier League season, so not many podcasts before I sign off for a few weeks. But Owen, if you want to tell everyone that doesn't know, you're going to be doing your own Euros channel. So where can people find you over the summer?
It'll be on Owen Kelly, Anfield Road. Soon as the Euros start, well, probably before it starts, I'll be doing my predictions for the group stages and then going into the knockouts. But if anyone wants to come on and join, just like us here, feel free to contact me and we'll get it set up.
Yep, thank me, and I'm on. Callum's on as well, so some of the regulars will be on too. So that'll keep us going throughout the summer. Owen will probably be on once a week at least, chatting about the games and stuff and how he sees it going. So
that's if I'm out of my bedroom crying.
I'm sure you'll be all right. Once the season finishes, you'll get over it. But Owen, thanks for joining me as usual on a midweek show. Great to have you on. If you're new around here, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe for more content. We'll be back tomorrow night, looking ahead to the weekend featuring Man United versus Arsenal. Thanks very much. See you soon.
Cheers.